Hello everyone, my name is Zhao Xiangyu from Tianjin University in China. Now I will share our paper, Multiple Knowledge Transformer for Natural Dialogue Generation. Here are the main contents. First, let's see the background. The goal of chatbot is building a dialogue system for human-machine chat. Chit-chat is crucial and non-goal oriented. The topic of the conversation could be any. Users may jump from one topic to another in a conversation. The research focuses on automatic replying with relevant and diverse responses to make conversations engaging. The main problems we face are as follows. Lack of actual knowledge about dialogue context results in responses lack of information. Limited abilities in understanding language results in response lacking of relevance and diversity. Lack of long-term memory in dialogue history results in response becoming inconsistency. To solve these problems, there are several solutions. Giving dialogue systems the ability to retrieve and use relevant knowledge. With the extensive application of the pre-training models in natural language process tasks such as BERT and GPT, we consider that transfer learning is one way for better understanding. Besides this, enough model capacity is necessary to solve long-term memory problems. So first, we are going to use actual knowledge in dialogue systems. To exploit external knowledge in dialogue generation tasks, many works have made great progress. If the actual knowledge is user profile, the personal set is a typical dataset. It comes from real conversations between crowd workers. Pairs of crowd workers have a natural conversation with each other and try to get to know each other during the conversation. The dataset consists over 160 terms in over 10,000 dialogues. We serve these profiles as text grounding knowledge in the conversation. If the actual knowledge is grounding documents, the wizard of Wikipedia dataset is a representative job. This dataset aims at providing a platform to perform large-scale knowledge-grounded chit-chat. There are two participants engaging in chit-chat. The two agents, however, have different degrees of external knowledge. One of the agents, known as the wizard, plays the role of a knowledge expert and has access to retrieval system for acquiring knowledge. The other agent acts as a curious learner, has no access to external knowledge. This dataset covers over 1,000 nature open domain dialogue topics, and each topic is linked to a Wikipedia article. We serve these grounding documents as text grounding knowledge in the conversation. If the actual knowledge is structured knowledge such as knowledge graphs, Zhao first attempts to use large-scale common sense knowledge in conversation. The knowledge base they use is ConceptNet, and the knowledge representation they use is Chang. Besides this, we are going to use transfer learning for better understanding. Pre-trained language models have been shown to capture useful semantic and syntactic properties, and also a notable amount of common sense knowledge. Currently, many state-of-the-art performing systems on language tasks utilize a combination of pre-training and supervised fine-tuning. Pre-trained language models, especially those learned by transformer via language modeling, have the ability to capture useful knowledge from text by unsupervised pre-training on huge corpora. Our motivation comes from two aspects. First, an intelligent dialogue system itself needs to have a deep understanding of language as well as enough common sense knowledge reserve. Second, a successful dialogue system should have the ability to integrate and utilize multiple types of external knowledge. In order to build a knowledgeable dialogue system based on the large-scale corporate trained transformer model, we propose a multiple knowledge syncretic transformer for dialogue generation. This is a generic dialogue generation model that incorporates multiple types of knowledge. The contribution of this paper can be summarized as follows. We clearly state and analyze how to apply different forms of knowledge to knowledge-grounded dialogue generation. This aspect has not been sufficiently studied in the previous work. Specifically, we divide these different types of external knowledge into two broad categories. The first category is unstructured knowledge. This kind of knowledge usually is a whole sentence or document, which can express a complete meaning, such as the personal profiles in personal set dataset, and ground knowledge in wizard of Wikipedia dataset. The second category is label knowledge. This kind of knowledge usually exists as an additional label which can enhance language representation in different aspects, such as conversation topics and structured knowledge facts in knowledge graphs. We also build a novel multiple knowledge syncretic transformer based on pre-trained language model to encode dialogue context with multiple types of knowledge together. Finally, we prove that our knowledge fusion mechanism is effective for informative response generation. Next, we will see our model. The whole architecture of our model is shown in the figure. The model learns to generate responses in two steps. The first step is the label knowledge detection module. This module first recognizes the label sequence in post-sentence, and then it encodes the label sequence as label embeddings. Next step is the multiple knowledge syncretic transformer. The transformer accepts dialogue context, unstructured knowledge, and label knowledge embeddings as input. The encoder first encodes context and unstructured knowledge information respectively with its label knowledge embeddings, and then decoder generates responses word for word by employing a modified attention-based method, which injects responses with dialogue context and relevant knowledge information. As shown in the figure, this is the data flow in our model. Specifically, we divide the label knowledge into categories. The first category is sentence label. The sentence label represents the meaning at the sentence level, such as topics. And the second category is word label. Word label aims to enhance the representation of words like the informative entity embeddings in knowledge graphs. As shown in the figure, the model consists of three stacked modules. The first module is label knowledge encoder. The encoder is a self-attentive encoder as described in a. It is responsible to capture and encode important label information from the label knowledge embeddings. The second module is Syncretic Transformer Encoder. This encoder is a parallel transformer encoder. Firstly, it encodes dialogue context and unstructured knowledge respectively with a multi-head self-attention. Then, leveraging a fusion layer, it aims to integrate the enhanced label knowledge information from the label knowledge encoder into dialogue context and unstructured knowledge to strengthen their representation. In this module, we can encode different types of knowledge and dialogue contexts in a unified representation. The third module is Knowledge-Aware Transformer Decoder. The decoder generates the response word by word sequentially with attending over both the label knowledge enhanced unstructured knowledge and dialogue context. First, this decoder takes current utterance to do self-attention and then it attentively reads the output representation from a syncretic transformer encoder by leveraging an extra multi-head attention layer. Finally, we employ a beam search method to select our best response during the fine-tuning process. As for dialogue context, the first layer of encoder embedding layer sums the token embedding and the personal embedding for each token to compute its input embeddings as equation 1. Because dialogue context and unstructured knowledge tend to include several utterances and contain long sentences, using self-attention mechanism can capture the global connection in one step and solve the long-distance dependency. Specifically, before merging multiple pieces of information, we use multi-head self-attention to manage label knowledge embeddings, unstructured knowledge embeddings, and context embeddings respectively, as shown in the equation 2. Before going through the fusion layer, we use the multi-head attention layer and the layer norm method to unify the inputs. In the next step, as shown in the equation 3, instead of using FFN layer, we employ a knowledge fusion layer for the mutual integration of context representation and entity sequence. Specifically, knowledge fusion layer computes the output embedding for each token and entity. Because not all tokens have corresponding label knowledge information for a token in dialogue context, if its homologous label knowledge embeddings exists, the knowledge fusion process is as equation 4. After repeating equation 2 and 3 for n layers, we can get the output of S encoder. In the decoding process, we need to leverage the output of syncretic transformer encoder to generate response more coincident and informative. Different from the encoder, the model inserts a third sublayer which performs multi-head attention over the output of the encoder stack. When generating the S response word, the knowledge-aware transformer decoder leverages 3 steps to enhance the response representation with knowledgeable and contextual information. As shown in the equation 5, the first step is using a multi-head self-attention layer to learn the internal structure of the generated sentence. As shown in the equation 6 and 7, the second step is using a multi-head context attention and a multi-head knowledge attention to guide the following conversation within the scope of given context and knowledge. As shown in the equation 8, the third step is using a operation-wise fully connected feed-forward layer to integrate all attention information. After n layers, we use softmax to get the word's probabilities. The decoder repeats this process until a full response is generated. As for loss function, according to previous works, including language modeling as an auxiliary objective to fine-tuning helps improving generalization of supervised model and accelerating convergence. To train model, we use weighted combination of objectives. During encoding, we leverage language modeling loss. During decoding, we leverage label smoothing algorithm and expected risk to enhance models' generalization performance. Finally, we are going to introduce our experiments. In order to assess the performance of our methods, we conduct experiments on two recently created datasets, namely the personal set dataset and the wizard of Wikipedia dataset. As for baselines, we selected sequence-to-sequence HVMN, wizard transformer, and BERT post-KF. Among them, sequence-to-sequence is a first and most fundamental model for dialogue generation task. HVMN has the ability to retrieve dialogue history. Therefore, we chose HVMN mainly to verify the effectiveness of the pre-training method and knowledge fusion mechanism. Wizard transformer and BERT post-KF are pre-trained transformers for dialogue generation. Both are the state-of-the-art models in the current field of dialogue generation. However, neither of them considers combining different knowledge together. In order to analyze the model's performance, we use both automatic and human evaluation. Since pre-training is expensive and our main goal is to leverage its knowledge by fine-tuning our dialogue generation task, we reuse the language model GPT in our experiments. GPT is a 12-layer decoder-only transformer with masked self-attention heads. During pre-training, the model was trained on the book corpus. Before fine-tuning process, our model will load GPT's parameters for the same layers. In order to make use of knowledge graphs information in label knowledge, following the existing work earlier, we adopt its knowledge embedding trained on Wikidata by TransE as the input embeddings for entities. Since the two datasets do not provide named entity annotations, we use named entity recognition tools TagMe and Specking to extract entities mentioned in sentences and link them to their corresponding entities in knowledge graphs. Table 2 shows the different name entity recognition triggers performance on personal chat. We can see that TagMe could correspond to named entity in Wikipedia based on semantic relevance to some extent, such as classical music to country music. In fact, explicit named entities often do not appear in open domain conversations such as pop in Table 2. In the datasets we currently use, we think the TagMe performs better and we chose it as our named entity recognition trigger. Next, let's see the experiment results. In the aspect of automatic evaluation, our model outperforms all baselines significantly by achieving the highest scores. By observing and analyzing the experimental results, we can conclude that while the sequence-to-sequence and HVMN model without incorporating knowledge have poor performance on generating diverse responses, in comparison other models which leverage external knowledge are shown to have better performance in this aspect. Among them, our MKST model achieves the best results, which illustrates that combining multiple knowledge benefits generating informative and diverse responses. When compared with existing knowledge-grounded baselines, our model demonstrates its strength to incorporate multiple knowledge in response generation. It shows that the combination of multiple knowledge and pre-training method leveraged in our model provides enough common sense and specific grounding knowledge, which results in generating more informative and quality responses. In this section, we also organize some examples to show the effectiveness of our proposed model. They are chosen randomly from the responses produced by the proposed model, and sewed together with the corresponding context and outputs of the baselines. The response from MKFT are not only more appropriate but also more informative. As for example of personal chat, the conversation is about characters' hobbies, while the HVMN model without incorporating knowledge produces a generic response. Wizard Transformer and Bird Post KS have the ability to incorporate external knowledge. However, the responses given by the Wizard Transformer and Post KS cannot well fit the consistency of the conversation. In comparison, our MKFT model performs better since its response is more proper for its sense by mentioning exactly the bird games. This simple examples shows that MKFT can generate more appropriate and informative responses than the baselines. The example from the visual of Wikipedia is about dogs. It is worth noting that our model has a better understanding on the given informative and exactly mention that best friend. From these cases, we can observe that MKST can extract the proper external ground knowledge by leveraging meta-knowledge which guides the generator to produce an informative and consistent response in a conversation. In general, our model can understand the content of dialogue well and give a corresponding response. However, through the automatic and human evaluation results, we can find that the model performs worse on Wizard of Wikipedia. To improve the performance of our model in the future, we take the raw cases in human judgment as an example to analyze our errors. As shown in the table 7, we can find that compared to gold responses, generated responses still lack of information such as ID 1 and 3. Although MKST attempts to combine relevant knowledge, there will still be problems of logical errors due to improper use of knowledge such as ID2. Compared to personal chat, Wizard of Wikipedia has much more relevant background knowledge. We think that among a large amount of related knowledge, inappropriate knowledge will lead to the generation of illogical responses. So how to choose appropriate knowledge requires a further exploration. In this paper, we have studied the dialogue generation task and identified the intelligence. Understanding conversation deeply and leveraging multifarious knowledge effectively. To generate a natural response, we propose a pre-training-based multiple knowledge syncretic transformer for dialogue generation. Different from the traditional transformer-based dialogue models, we are working on using one framework to integrate multiple kinds of knowledge information. On the one hand, the proposed model uses unsupervised pre-training to boost its performance on language understanding. On the other hand, in the fine-tuning process, while parallel encoder can naturally and efficiently encode the dialogue context and unstructured knowledge enhanced by label knowledge information, decoder has the ability to integrate common sense knowledge from pre-training to generate proper and informative responses. Experiments conducted on the two datasets demonstrate that our proposed method makes a significant improvement over multiple baselines in terms of automatic evaluation and human evaluation. In future work, there will be more and more information. We will study how to effectively select and integrate appropriate knowledge to promote the progress of the dialogue system. Thanks.